To make a reversible or lined pair of pants using this method, you can use any pattern for elastic waist pants. For reference, this is roughly the dimensions I used to draw my pattern directly on the fabric for my toddler son's pants. Cut out 2 fronts and 2 backs or 2 of the joint pattern like this from both fabric, and assemble each layer separately first. Put side seams and inseams of front and back together, right side of the fabric facing each other. Flip one of the legs inside out and put it in the other leg to sew the crotch curve. Do the same thing to the other fabric. Before you start putting these layers together, you want to iron the seam allowances open. Use tailor's hem or seam roll to get nice finish. Lay both layers of your pants like this, with front side facing up. Pin the hems as shown with right sides together. Line up inseams together and also side seams if your pants have them. Start at the inseam and bring a little section to the front at a time as you sew. If you're working with 2 different kinds of fabric and one is stretchier than the other, always put the stretchier fabric on the bottom because the sewing machine always feeds the bottom fabric more. Do the same thing on the other hem. Now the 2 layers are connected at the hems. Grab one of the hems from inside and flip one of the layers inside out over the other one, and do the same thing on the other leg. Line up the crotch seams together, being careful not to twist it. You can iron the hems for crisp edges, but I like the soft look, so I just roll out the edges and lightly finger press the hems. At the center back of the waist, fold down the seam allowances on both layers to the wrong side of the fabric and grab the seam allowances from the inside. Align the center back seams and put a clip there. At the sewing machine, pull out the clipped section and start sewing. Keep the needle down while you pull out the next section to sew. Keep doing this until it's too hard to pull out any more fabric. This depends on the size of your pants and the fabric you're using. When you get to the point where you cannot sew anymore, backstitch and cut the thread. Put the layers back and try pulling out the seam allowances from another place. You might have to do this a couple times. To me, this method seems to create a faster and cleaner finish. If this looks too complicated, you could just fold the seam allowances down with an iron, skip this step, and just edge stitch the two layers together. Edge stitch around and leave 1 to 2 inches open. Next, you make the casing for elastic. I used 3/4 inch elastic, so to give a little space for the fabric to scrunch up, I sewed 1 inch from the edge stitch. Sew all the way around. Now I put the elastic band for the waist through the opening. I cut the elastic 2 inches shorter than the waist measurement. This really depends on the stretch of your elastic and the fabric you chose for your pants. When you're using heavyweight fabric, you usually need to shorten the elastic more because the weight of the fabric weighs down the entire pants and stretch out the elastic waist more. Overlap 1 inch at the ends and sew in letter Z pattern to securely attach the ends. Now is a good time to try on the pants to see the fit around the waist. Make necessary adjustments and edge stitch the opening closed. I used mustard color corduroy and plaid cotton flannel for this one. I probably wouldn't use it this side out since corduroy is not as comfortable as cotton flannel on the inside. But in theory, it's a cute combination on both sides. I made another pair of pants using the same technique, and this time I added the back pockets. I added pockets before attaching the two layers together, so on the inside you don't see the stitching for the pockets. You can use so many different fabric combinations with this technique. Quilted fabric with flannel lining, denim with faux Sherpa lining, or reversible summer pants. If you want to make a much quicker version of warm pants, I have a video on my channel explaining how to make fleece pajama pants in about 15 minutes. Or make a lined tulip hat to keep your head warm.